Why you keep attracting emotionally unavailable people. Picture this. You meet someone and everything inside you lights up. You swear you can feel their frequency in your bones. Conversations flow like electricity, silence feels sacred. Your brain whispers, this one is different. But then, the subtle shift. Their replies slow. Their eyes start scanning rooms instead of faces. The energy drains, molecule by molecule, until you're left refreshing your phone like a gambler pulling a lever. Here's the betrayal most people never notice. You didn't fall for them. You fell for the chemical chaos they triggered in you. Every time they pulled away, your brain released a microdose of cortisol, stress chemistry, and when they came back, dopamine flooded the system. That unpredictable cycle carved a groove into your reward pathway, training you to confuse anxiety with attraction. So when you say, I just have bad luck, what you really mean is, my nervous system is addicted to uncertainty. We think betrayal happens when someone lies to us. In truth, the first betrayal is biological, when the body mistakes threat for love. It's why stability feels dull. Why consistency feels suspicious. Why the person who actually wants you never activates the same spark. Your ancient programming, designed for survival in a world of scarcity and danger, still runs the show. To that primitive brain, the emotionally distant partner isn't a red flag, they're a challenge, a hunt, a chance to win safety through struggle. And that's the paradox. The harder you try to secure love, the more your biology convinces you that love must be earned through pain. What I'm about to tell you next will make this loop impossible to unsee, because once you understand why your brain keeps chasing the unavailable, the pattern begins to crack. Let's pull back the curtain. Because what's running your relationships isn't willpower, it's wiring. Deep, ancient circuitry built long before you had words for love or rejection. Your brain, the same organ that governs hunger and fear, doesn't actually care about happiness. It cares about survival through prediction. If it can predict pain, it feels safe, even when that pain destroys you. Here's the biological truth. When someone is emotionally distant, they trigger the brain's anticipation circuit, a loop powered by dopamine. It's not the reward that hooks you, it's the uncertainty of the reward. That unpredictability sends dopamine spiking higher than consistency ever could. It's the same mechanism that keeps gamblers glued to slot machines and traders addicted to volatility. Meanwhile, the attachment system, a network involving oxytocin, cortisol, and the amygdala, tries to close the distance. Each withdrawal from your partner activates mild threat responses. Heart rate climbs. Breath shortens. When they return, even briefly, oxytocin floods the bloodstream, offering relief so intense it mimics euphoria. This is not love. It's biochemical conditioning, a neurological trick of survival. Thousands of years ago, uncertainty kept us alive. Our ancestors stayed hypervigilant, scanning for danger, attuned to every flicker of change in their environment. That same vigilance now gets redirected toward emotional cues, tone shifts, message delays, silence. Your brain interprets unpredictability as significance. If it can hurt you, it must matter. So when you meet someone who feels calm, predictable, available, your ancient nervous system misreads that as too safe. No adrenaline. No cortisol. No spark. The modern world calls it boring. Biology calls it no threat detected. This is the invisible algorithm shaping your love life. Your DNA still believes that emotional danger equals depth. And here's the hardest truth of all. You're not broken, you're adapted. Adapted to chase what's scarce. Adapted to confuse peace with emptiness. Adapted to survive chaos by calling it connection. You felt it before, haven't you? That magnetic pull towards someone who gives just enough to keep you hoping, then vanishes the moment you start to feel secure. It's not coincidence. It's choreography. And your mind knows every step by heart. When you first meet, dopamine lights up like fireworks. Curiosity, possibility, novelty, the perfect chemical cocktail. But as soon as the other person withdraws, the dopamine drops, and the amygdala, the brain's alarm system flares to life. The drop feels like danger. So you reach out, text, replay conversations, search for signs you did something wrong. That's when the loop tightens. Each unanswered message, each vague response, reignites the chase. Your brain learns that relief only comes when they return. So even a tiny gesture, a late night, hey, or a random like on your post, floods you with pleasure. That brief relief is powerful enough to erase days of anxiety. It's the same conditioning principle that trains lab rats to press a lever until exhaustion. But this isn't about weakness, it's about memory. Somewhere deep inside, your nervous system stored a blueprint for connection, maybe from a parent who was loving but inconsistent, or a childhood where affection arrived wrapped in unpredictability. Your adult relationships are simply trying to recreate the familiar, hoping that this time the ending will be different. The cruel genius of the mechanism is how it disguises itself as passion. You tell yourself the chaos means chemistry, that the anxiety is proof of depth. Yet beneath every high is a crash, and beneath every reunion is a quiet fear. How long until the next disappearance? That's why it never feels finished. Your mind isn't seeking love, it's seeking resolution, the completion of an old story that was never closed. But every time the cycle repeats, the ending stays the same. Temporary relief, followed by another spiral of uncertainty. Until you name it, the loop runs automatically. But the moment you see it, truly see it, the illusion begins to break. Because awareness, not control, is the first crack in the pattern. If you've been caught in this cycle, there are signs you've been missing. Small, almost invisible moments that whisper the truth before it hits like a wave. And yet, because they're familiar, your mind convinces you to ignore them. Here's what to watch for. 1. Inconsistent communication. One day, they're attentive, playful, engaging. The next, silence. Not for hours, not for a day, for days. Your brain tells you, maybe they're busy, maybe it's nothing. But deep down, you know, that unpredictability is not a glitch. It's a feature. 2. Emotional unavailability. They deflect deep questions. They dodge commitment, not as a preference, but as a pattern. When you open up, they withdraw. When you pull back, they chase. It's a constant push-pull, and it activates the neurological loop we uncovered earlier. 3. Grand gestures, tiny foundations. They'll sweep you off your feet with words, promises, attention. But the everyday intimacy, the text that says, I'm thinking of you, the effort to meet halfway, it's missing. It's dopamine over depth, spectacle over stability. 4. Repeated breakthroughs and breakdowns. Every fight ends with reconciliation, but nothing truly changes. Patterns repeat, apologies cycle, excitement returns, but the core inconsistency remains. 5. Your nervous system is hijacked. You notice it in your own body, the racing pulse, the restless nights, the obsessive checking. The brain interprets scarcity as survival, not romance. And you, unknowingly, reinforce the pattern with every reach, every plea, every hope. I've seen this countless times. Case study 1, a friend who interpreted coldness as a mysterious allure, only to realize years later he had been addicted to the chase, not the person. Case study 2, someone who mistook inconsistency for proof of uniqueness, until the pattern repeated across 3 relationships, each ending in quiet devastation. Even social media plays its part. Every filtered story, every curated post, every highlight of someone's aloofness trains your brain to mistake distance for value. It's subtle, insidious, a modern corruption layered atop ancient programming. Recognizing these warning signs is not just observation, it's a declaration of autonomy. It's the first act in breaking the loop, the first step toward reclaiming the chemistry hijacked from your nervous system. Here's where most people stop seeing the truth. Because what traps us isn't just biology, it's culture. Modern society has quietly built an entire theater around emotional unavailability, and most of us are unwitting actors. Think about it. Social media, dating apps, empowerment culture, all broadcasting a single, dangerous message. Chase mystery. Celebrate scarcity. Reward inconsistency. Every highlight reel you scroll through reinforces the illusion. A friend posting about the partner who ghosted them, yet still making them seem desirable. Influencers telling you to wait for high-value attention, while secretly normalizing instability. Every like, every heart, every swipe, it trains your dopamine pathways, rewarding anxiety over security. And it doesn't stop there. Therapy culture, self-help soundbites, and pop psychology often frame these patterns as lessons, rather than symptoms of miswiring. You just need to set better boundaries. You just need higher standards. But the uncomfortable reality is deeper. Your nervous system is conditioned to crave unpredictability, and culture has built scaffolding to keep that craving alive. It celebrates emotional scarcity as sophistication, and labels consistency as dull or weak. The irony is in plain sight. The very tools that promise empowerment, books, apps, dating advice, often reinforce the chaos instead. They convince you that your pain is a choice, not a conditioned response. They glorify the hunt and mask the fact that stability feels unsafe to a system addicted to unpredictability. I've watched it happen countless times. Case study 1. Someone who followed every modern dating rule, every high-value man/woman formula, only to recreate the exact cycle, again and again. Case study 2. Someone who avoided self-reflection, trusting empowerment mantras instead, until exhaustion forced awareness. The cultural illusion is seductive because it's invisible. It masquerades as progress while silently scripting our emotional loops. And until you see it, truly see it, every relationship feels like a battlefield you never agreed to enter. Every loop has an endpoint. Every cycle of pursuit and withdrawal eventually leads to a breaking point, a collapse that feels like the ground giving way beneath your feet. It begins subtly: fatigue, emotional exhaustion. That quiet, gnawing sense that something is wrong, but you can't name it. Then the highs no longer lift you. The reunions no longer soothe. The chase stops feeling like excitement and starts feeling like a trap. This is the neurological cost of the pattern we've uncovered. Dopamine spikes, cortisol crashes, and oxytocin bursts no longer balance each other. Your brain is exhausted from constant prediction, from craving relief that never lasts. Your nervous system is sending a warning in the only way it knows: panic, agitation, despair. Case study 1. A friend who finally realized he had been chasing validation for years, every fleeting connection leaving him hollow. Case study 2. Someone who believed they were dating differently, only to see the same push-pull dynamic destroy self-esteem across multiple relationships. And here's the cruelest truth: collapse is not external. It doesn't happen because the other person is bad or unavailable. It happens because the system, your body, your mind, your patterns, finally refuses to be tricked anymore. This is the moment most people fear: the silence. The emptiness. The realization that they've invested years in a cycle that never intended to reward them with safety. But paradoxically, collapse is also liberation. Because when the loop breaks, the illusions fall away. The chase no longer holds power over you. And for the first time, you can start seeing connections, not through scarcity, not through anxiety, but through clarity. The collapse is not the end. It is a signal: the system is ready to rewrite itself. To recover. To heal. Now, brace yourself. Because what I'm about to tell you is the part nobody wants to say out loud. You have been chasing a pattern, not a person. And that pattern, the adrenaline, the uncertainty, the fleeting connection, is hardwired into your nervous system. It isn't malice. It isn't bad luck. It's biology, memory, and psychology all intertwined, quietly scripting your relationships. Here's the bitter truth: comfort feels alien. Stability feels suspect. Consistency doesn't excite, it scares. Your brain, trained by cycles of reward and withdrawal, interprets peace as emptiness, availability as boredom, love as risk. Case study 1. Someone who broke up with a reliable partner because the calmness of their love felt too quiet, leaving them to seek chaos elsewhere. Case study 2. another who felt panic when trust replaced uncertainty, only realizing years later that the fear itself had been the anchor to every failed connection. Even worse, society has reinforced this illusion. Every romanticized story, every film, every social media post glorifies the unstable but exciting relationship. Your brain gets a constant feed telling you that unpredictability equals value. So you chase it, over and over, unaware that the script was written long before you ever met the person. The harshest reality is this: the pattern isn't broken by someone else. No partner, no grand gesture, no fleeting thrill will ever fix it. You can't outsource the work. You can't rely on external chaos to feel alive. The bitter truth is simple, yet devastating. Your liberation begins only when you face the loop itself. When you stop seeking resolution in others, and start resolving the wiring inside yourself. Now, after all the chaos, the loops, the collapse, there is a way forward. Not through luck. Not through another person. Through understanding, awareness, and deliberate rewiring of your own system. Step 1: Awareness. The first act of liberation is naming the loop. Every withdrawal, every craving, every moment of panic, observe it without judgment. Recognize that your brain is running an old script. Once you see it, the spell begins to break. Step 2: Regulation. You cannot control others, but you can calm your nervous system. Deep breathing, meditation, grounding exercises, these are not soft practices. They train your brain to interpret safety as safety, not boredom. You reduce the intensity of dopamine crashes and cortisol spikes. You reclaim your autonomy. Step 3: Redefine attraction. Stop equating chaos with excitement. Seek emotional consistency over intensity. Notice how your body responds to calm, attentive, predictable energy, and reward that, not the whirlwind. Your chemistry can be retrained. It's not instantaneous, but it's irreversible if done correctly. Step 4: Micro-boundaries. Set small, enforceable limits with yourself and others. Do not chase validation. Do not sacrifice self-respect for attention. Every time you honor your boundary, you strengthen neurological pathways that favor stability over uncertainty. Step 5: Rewrite the blueprint. Finally, expose yourself to healthy relationships, predictable, supportive, calm. Learn to experience connection without the chase. This is how the ancient programming is gradually rewritten. This is how chaos finally becomes clarity. The reward is profound. Freedom from cycles you once thought inevitable. The ability to choose partners who match your values, not your trauma. The sense of self-sovereignty that no one, and no social algorithm, can take from you. Remember this: healing is not about finding someone new. It is about becoming someone new. And once that happens, the patterns of the past lose their power forever. Thank you for watching. If this resonated with you, leave a comment. Until next time, bye.